welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Emanuela. If you are new here, you're welcome. Make sure to subscribe and join the family. Here I talk about everything photography related. We do chit chat here. I share my behind the scenes. I take basic research and tips.
So today I'm feeling like a superstar because I just finished doing my pre-wedding shoot and I'm all glammed up, as you can see. And I don't want to waste this glam, so I said why not do a YouTube video? So here we are.
So today I'm gonna talk about how I became a photographer and also share some basic beginner pricing tips or guides. So stay tuned. Hello, so you're welcome back. So how did I become a photographer? I don't want this video to be long and boring, so I'm just gonna give you a shorter version of the story. Maybe another time I would sit down and elaborate on it. So I started off as a model somewhere in 2015. I had completed school, I was not working. I needed to make money some way, somehow, and I was just excited about life, just trying everything I could do. So I entered into ushering and advanced promotion. It's a thing when you are in the university or if you are done with SHS or you're done with school. So I started doing that, and in some way along the line, I joined this WhatsApp group that consists of photographers and makeup artists. And on 14th February 2015, they went on a photo walk. So if you don't know what a photo walk is, it's basically creatives like photographers, models, makeup artists coming together to create a look and just walk in town, taking shots, learning from each other. Basically that's what a photo walk is. So I went on this photo walk as a model, and on that shoot, one photographer gave me his camera to just try my hands on it. He gave it to me. I've forgotten the camera model, but then it was a Canon, and it was so cute. It was very small, and it was so cute, and I was just instantly fascinated. So I wanted to know more. I wanted to know everything about it, and that's how it started for me. So right after that photo walk, I went searching for information like crazy. I was on Google, I was on YouTube, I was just typing, what is a camera, how to become a photographer, types of photography. I was just searching. I was thirsty for information. I was thirsty to be a photographer. I just wanted to be a photographer. I was excited about it. And so that is how it started for me. That is how I entered into photography. So I didn't start photography professionally up until 2017. So that means that from the period of 2015 to 2017, I was just doing so much research. I was not a photographer like professionally yet. I was just doing so much research. I found on so much information. I was just learning. I just wanted to learn. I was literally in everyone's DM, every photographer's DM, wanting to learn. How I was asking questions because I'll read something online and I would want to know how to go about it and all that. So that is how it started for me, and it hasn't been an easy journey. But then today I'm here, and where I am right now in my photography journey, I didn't perceive myself to be here, but today I'm here, and I'm grateful for how the journey has been so far. So yeah, part of myself and how far I've come. And so if you are an upcoming photographer out there, let me tell you one thing, that never stop learning and keep on doing more research, keep on badging already professional photographers out there. Let them teach you, because it's much easier to arrive at a destination when you inquire from somebody who has already been there than going through the journey from the beginning yourself, because then your journey becomes shorter when you inquire from someone who has already been on that journey. So don't feel too proud to ask other photographers who are doing well in the industry, what you want to find out. And for me, one thing that also helped me was I explored basically every niche in photography and finally settled on beauty photography. So don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid to do event photography. Don't be afraid to do portrait photography. Don't be afraid to shoot babies. Don't be afraid to do travel, landscape, architecture. Just try all of it if you can. And then you can decide which one you really want to go into. So that's one thing that helped me in discovering my niche in photography. I realized that I'm more prone to shoot headshots and facial expressions than actually shooting a full body shot. So, and I love seeing more skin when I'm shooting. So, like the face, majority of the face is skin. So, that is how I entered into beauty photography. So let's talk about pricing for beginners. I mean, this is a very controversial subject and it's quite dicey to go about it because one pricing doesn't suit all. As a beginner photographer, you cannot ask someone how much they charge for their services and also say, oh, okay, photographer A charges this amount of money for their services, so I'm also going to charge the same amount of money. It doesn't work like that, and you don't want to do that. So today I'm going to give you a basic guide on how to go about pricing your photography or pricing for your services. So the first thing you may want to consider is camera. Okay, so if you are a beginner photographer and let's say you get a gig that requires you to use a specific type of camera or a specific type of gear, and you don't own that gear, that means you would have to rent it. So the first thing on your list would be the cost of rentals for a camera. In this case, even if you own the camera yourself, you're supposed to still put on your pricing list the cost of a camera if you should rent it. And that is because if something should happen to your camera on set or while shooting, how are you going to resolve that? How are you going to get money to fix that? The client wouldn't care. The client doesn't care about you. All they care about is getting the job done. So however you're going to get it done, it's none of their business. So make sure that you include your camera costs into your pricing. So this is how to basically do it. You check in your area how much do they rent the type of camera that you're using per day. So you include it in your cost. If you are going to use extra lenses, you include that into your cost. Then another thing you include into your cost is if you're doing an outdoor shoot, you need to include your cost of transportation. And then also, if you're not doing outdoor shoots and you're doing studio shoots, you need to include the cost of renting a studio. So just in case you have your own studio space, you still have to include the cost of studio because you need money to maintain your studio, you need money to buy new equipment, so you need to include that in your cost. Then when you're done, you need to calculate how many images you're going to give your client and then find out how much is charged for retouching per image. The reason this step is so important is because just in case you're not in a position to retouch those images or edit those images, you would have to give them to a retoucher to do that for you. Where are you going to get money to pay the retoucher? You see? And you should also note that your photography doesn't end when you just shoot the client on set. You would have to come back to the computer and spend days working on those images. So that means that if you charge very little amount of money, it's not going to cover up for the rest of the time or the rest of the days you're going to spend editing. So what you're supposed to do is that you charge separately for retouching, just so that you can even give your images to a retoucher to work on it for you, and that saves you much time. So make sure that you calculate the amount of pictures you give to a client and then calculate how much you're going to pay yourself for retouching those images. So say you're going to pay yourself 30 Ghana cedis or whichever amount of money for one image. You calculate that, you multiply that by the number of images you plan on giving the client, and you add that to your cost. Then finally, you add how much you want to pay yourself for shooting this client. So if someone was to call you to do that shoot for them, how much would you charge the person for your services? You include that into your cost, and all that coming together should make up your price list. So first, the cost of renting a camera. If you're going to use a studio, the cost of renting a studio. If you're going to transport yourself, the cost of your transport. And then you'll include the cost of retouching, because it's actually separate from the photography, because photography doesn't end right after you shoot a client. So you calculate the cost of your retouching, and then you calculate the cost of how much you'd want to pay yourself for that shoot. So this is like a basic guide to, or a basic point to pricing your photography. That is, if you shoot portrait, if you shoot babies. Event photography is quite different, because with event photography you have to charge hourly, because normally event photography is the duration is based on a number of hours, so you need to have your hourly rates and then you work from there. So I hope these tips or this conversation has been very interesting. You've learned something from it. It has helped you. Make sure you click the like button and make sure you share this video to anyone that you think is going to help. So I'll see you in my next video. Bye.